Hello, this is Giorgio Lucas. A warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. In my last video, I talked about 15 things I believe you need to consider before buying a flat. In this one, I'm going to talk about 15 things I think you need to consider before buying a house. Now, of course, there are some similarities with flats, but there are also some fundamental differences. So let's get straight to it. Number one, as with a flat, have a look at the price per square meter. And I'll give you a very simple example again. One house is 120 square meters, another house is 150 square meters, same price, but the 150 square meters, all things being equal, will be better value for money because you're getting more per square meter. Number two, location. Where is the house based? Is it near facilities such as shopping, schools, transport links? Number three, what type of house is it? Obvious one, but I'll put it in there anyway. Is it a terraced? Is it semi-detached, or is it detached? Obviously detached is more expensive than semi-detached. Semi-detached is more expensive than terrace. But with a terrace, remember, an end of terrace is better than a terrace house which is in the middle of two other houses. So take that into consideration as well. Now, number four, and I think this is absolutely the most fundamental bit of buying a house, is to look at the state of the house. And whatever you decide to do, if you do decide to go ahead and purchase a house, please, please, please have a survey done. I absolutely cannot emphasize that enough. That could end up costing you thousands of pounds. And when I mean thousands, I mean tens of thousands if you don't get that survey done and then you see structural damage in the future. But on viewing the property, have a look at the following. Is there damp, mold, condensation? Have a look at the flooring. Is there cracks in the flooring? That will cost a lot of money to repair. Go outside, have a look at the roof. Are there cracks in the tiles in the roof? Maybe some tiles are missing. That will give you an indication of the state of the roof. And again, we know roofs cost a lot of money to repair. Have a look and see if there's double glazing in the house. Double glazing, always a good feature. Have a look at the boiler. Is it a combi boiler? Has it recently been replaced? If it's been recently replaced, that can add an easy £2,000 to £3,000 to the value of the house. Also, have a look at the walls in each room. Have a look and see if there's cracks in the walls. And if there's a crack, get a coin out and see how far deep that coin goes in. Now, the deeper it goes, you know, the more structural damage there is and the more it will cost you to repair that property. Also, have a look at things like the light switches. Do they work? Have a look at the doors. Do they close properly? Have a look at the windows. Do the windows shut properly? Do the locks work? Have a look and see at the wiring. Is there a lot of loose wiring around the house? That will give you an indication of whether a lot of work needs to be done. You can also have a look and see if it's adequately soundproofed. But again, I want to emphasize that this is so important. I think this is the most important point when buying a house. Have a look at the state of it, because to repair a house, we all know, to rewire the roof, this can cost you many thousands and tens of thousands rather than single digit thousands. So again, I want to emphasize that again. Absolutely, if you go ahead and decide to purchase, have a survey done. I'll repeat that one more time. Have a survey done. Point number five, which way does the house face? Now, if it faces south, it's better than if it faces north, because again, you're going to get some for more of the day if it does face south. Number six, this is also quite an important one actually. Go in every room and see if you're overlooked by the neighbours. We want to see how private this house is. And if you are overlooked by the neighbours, and particularly in bedrooms, that can be a deal breaker. So do take that into consideration. Number seven is council tax. Now, in my last video, I did talk about apartments and council tax in two areas in particular, Wandsworth, and I think it was Kingston. Now, with a house, this is even more important because this is likely to be more expensive than buying a flat. And I know in certain cases, the difference between similar houses in different boroughs of London or in different areas of the country can be £2,000 or £3,000 a year. Now, if you're intending to stay in this house for, let's give an example, 10 years, that could cost you an extra £20,000 to £30,000. So you need to factor that in when purchasing a house. Number eight, does it have a garage? Now, a garage in particular for a house will add a lot of value. I do understand that in a lot of big cities like Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, Liverpool, and here in London, it's very difficult to have a garage even with a house. But again, a garage will add a lot of value to the house. Number 9, have a look at the garden. Now, the garden, the bigger usually it is, the better. But you also need to take into consideration the maintenance. Is it going to take a lot of work to maintain the garden? Also, with a garden, is it south facing like the house? South facing, as I've said before, is better than north facing. You get the sun for more of the day. But another thing about the garden is, like with a house, and going back to point 6, is it overlooked? Now, recently I did go to one of my friend's houses about a few months ago, and I had a look at his house, but I actually saw that nobody was using the garden on a nice day, simply because the gardens were overlooked. He had a garden here, and on that one side, another neighbour that could overlook you, another neighbour on the other side, and then opposite as well. So that's not so good with a garden if you're overlooked by a lot of people. Number 10, and I think this is important, particularly for people who purchase outside big cities, go to the countryside, is have a look in that area to see if there's good broadband coverage. Because I find a lot of people who do purchase in these areas tend to be working from home. They want the quiet life. They don't want the buzz of going to the city. And they often find they purchase a house and they think, oh, bloody hell, the broadband coverage is not good here. What am I supposed to do? I can't work well. I have my own personal business, and to fulfill orders, it's difficult because, again, the coverage is slow. So that's very, very important, more for the part of the country where you're purchasing. Have a look at the broadband coverage. Number 11, see if there's scope to extend the property, because this may also add value in the future if you decide to extend. If you do decide, it may not be important to you, but if you do extend and there's potential to extend the property, that will add value to the property. Number 12 is the Energy Performance Certificate. Now, the Energy Performance Certificate has levels between A and G, with A being the highest. Now, again, I don't think this is a deal breaker, but the higher the grade, the better. Number 13, have a look and see if the house is in a conservation area or if it's a listed building. The reason I say that is because that may affect you in the future. If you do decide to do works on the house, for example, extension, it's unlikely that you'll get consent to do that. Number 14, have a look and see if there's a loft. Now, a loft is always ripe for conversion. You often can get an extra bedroom from that. So have a look and also see the access to the loft. Is it easy to access? The easier, the better. And finally, number 15, and these are just miscellaneous things, like have a look and see if there's things like burglar alarms. That will always add value to the property. Have a look and see if there's a nice fireplace as well. Many people like a fireplace, and I think that also adds a bit of value to the property. And things like, for example, sockets. Are there enough sockets in the house? The more sockets, the better. Where are they positioned? And other little small, have a look at other small things like taps. You know, a single tap is obviously better than 2 taps. Now, again, the last thing I want to say again, and I'm going to go back to point 4, is when you do decide to go for a house, you must have that survey done. And at the risk, I know I've repeated myself quite a few times, but this is the main message, that if you do go ahead and purchase a house, you must have a thorough survey done. If there's any other points that you think I've missed, please do put them in the comments below, and I will reply to every single comment, I do promise. Again, I hope this video has been of some use. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day and see you in a couple of days. Thank you and bye-bye.